Good evening, everyone. Namaste. I trust all of you are doing well. I warmly welcome you to the second week of this IKS certificate course on the storytelling legacy of Bharat. I'm sure that all of you have had a fruitful learning time through the first week, and we are glad to be welcoming you for this second week of learnings and sessions. And joining me in welcoming you is Dr. Vikas Rajpopat, my esteemed colleague and the co-coordinator of this course. So welcome everyone. We hope that everyone has had a very restful time during the weekend and you're all energized, engaged, and motivated to delve into the second week. And we hope that you all will maintain your learning spirit and enthusiasm like this only during the second week's sessions as well. So we are extremely grateful to the BRB College of Commerce, Raichur, Karnataka, whose team has collaborated with the Nucleus of Learning and Development to make this fourth edition of the IKS certificate course possible. As all of you already know, before this edition, NLD has successfully completed 3 editions of the 10-day IKS certificate course. The first one was done in February 2025, which had the title Indian Knowledge Systems, Navigating the Extent and Scope. The second edition was accomplished in June-July 2025, where we explored the pathways and trajectories of Indian knowledge systems. And the third, the last edition before this one was integrating Indian knowledge systems in academia through NEP 2020, a vision for civilizational reclamation, which was done in November 2025. So this is the fourth edition, and we are extremely hopeful that NLD will continue to do these series of editions in the near future as well. So welcoming you to the second week, and I just want to briefly give an overview of how the second week looks like for all of us. So we have Dr. Vikas Rajpopat doing his session today, and you can also see it, you can already see it on his slide, transition from Shruti Smriti traditions to cinema, television and OTT narratives. So I believe that we are going to delve into some kind of modern day storytelling with Dr. Vikas's session today. We will have Dr. Pinku Jha continuing his session on storytelling traditions of the Mahabharata tomorrow. On 26th, I'll be doing a session on the storytelling tradition of Eastern Central Gujarat. Uh, on 27th, we have Dr. Pradyuman Raj, who will be exploring the tradition of Betal Pachisi, and the session is devoted to, again, storytelling in modern Bharat by Zelam Tambe. So we have an as exciting a lineup as we had in week 1 for all of you. So hope that we will have enthusiastic participation. Like the last week, I would like to remind all participants to kindly be on mute throughout the session. The chat box is open for interaction, discussion, comments, questions, and we will be devoting at least 15 minutes when Dr. Vikas ends his presentation. He will be taking questions, comments for discussion. So once again, glad to welcome you all, and let's begin week 2 today.
Thank you, Dr. Nidhi. Namaste to everyone. As you already know me, we have started to talk about rasa and other elements of Natya Shastra in our previous session. We are going to focus in today's session. We are going to focus on the transition from Smriti to cinema, television, and OTT narratives. But before I begin my session, I want you all to answer me. What is OTT? Because we all know that we keep on watching shows, films on OTT platforms, various platforms. But do we understand what does OTT mean? Over the top, that is the full form of the abbreviation that we all know. But what does exactly it mean? That is what I want to know. So, is there anyone who can explain what is OTT? Yes, Usaji.
Yes. Is there somebody who has raised their hand?
Usaji has unmuted herself.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't. Yes, Ushaji, do you want to respond? No, I think she's unmuted by mistake, so
Mistake.
no problem. Anybody? I can see Linima in the session. So if
See,
Linima can respond to this question, we'd be very happy. Shwetaji. Zelam can definitely respond to this question. Come on, I'm expecting responses from Zelam and Linima.
Linima is also today's expert for 15-20 minutes. He will be talking about Chhattisgarh's storytelling parampara.
Very nice, very nice. Excited to hear from her.
जी
Yeah.
नमस्ते मैम
Namaste. Namaste, Linima
नमस्ते
ji.
सर
Namaste.
सर ओवर द टॉप जिसको बोला जाता है ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म जो है वो इंटरनेट के माध्यम से हम जब वेब सीरीज और ऐसी शॉर्ट फिल्म से लेकर अलग अलग प्रकार की फिल्मों को देख सकते हैं एक ऐसा प्लेस होता है तो ऐसे नेटफ्लिक्स जो है इसके उदाहरण है
Perfect. Uh, in simple terms, if we understand, if there is no medium in between the viewers and the broadcaster or the sender, it is called over the top. So there is no cable, no network, even not the satellite, but the direct streaming happens, and that is what OTT is. Let's begin today's session. So we all know that our parampara,
Sorry,
our
Vikas, can I
yeah,
interrupt? Can you
yeah.
repeat the OTT concept once more? I missed it. I just want, I request you to repeat it once more.
See, we need cable, we need satellite. Say, for example, our television. Okay, some network issue at Zelam Madam's and we need satellite or we need cable, right? This is how we understand the television broadcasting. That is how we understand the cable broadcasting. But when it comes to the OTT platform, there is no such medium is there. So whenever a person starts streaming from the application or the website, the receiver receives it directly. That is the simplest meaning of OTT, right?
Perfect. Great, great. Thank you so
So,
much. Thank you.
thank you. So, let's begin today's session. And in today's session, we are going to talk about Shruti, Smruti, and the OTT, the latest one platforms. So, Shruti is the oral tradition. What does it mean in detail? We are also going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss about the Smriti Parampara, that is the parampara of remembering things and then passing on it to the other generation. Then we also talked about the parampara of natya performance, right? And now the world has reached to the visual or the digital platforms, that is cinema and OTT. And those who belong to the media and communication field, they understand the Western parallel, that is the Marshall McLuhan's theory of the medium is the message. In simple terms, if we understand, then the medium itself starts behaving like a message, right? That is what we mean by the medium is the message. And OTT is all about algorithm driven storytelling ecology. That is the core behind the OTT platform. Now let's talk about the communication civilization, that is we India. And our culture is, driven by the storytelling. For us, knowledge is not equal to information, but for us, what we understand by knowledge, we understand knowledge by the narrativized experience. So the experience that we, the things that we experience through the narratives which were, which came to us, which has reached to us. And in today's world, if we, take the example of the films, then we know that RRR is the mythical story which was, told in the by using the modern cinematic grammar. So RRR is the example of the mythological story which is told through the medium of the modern world, right? As I mentioned already, that India is the narrative civilization. For us, our ideology, our pedagogy, everything is told through the, ways of storytelling. So in Rishi Parampara, in Gurukul Parampara, the rishis, the teachers used to, tell lot many stories to the pupils to, understand, I mean, to explain them the various concepts. Even if we look at Panchatantra, then in Panchatantra, it is not only about the stories to enjoy, but there are, political education in Panchatantra stories. We, as children, we all have we must have heard all the stories of Panchatantra. Similar way, Mahabharata is the greatest example of storytelling. There are so many messages, but there is no, burden of that message, because storytelling has been used to convey those messages. So that is the beauty of uh, the Mahabharata, or our, storytelling tradition. If we talk about today's time, again I would like to take example of Instagram reels, because, today's youth loves Instagram reels. So in Instagram reels as well, if you, look at the studies which are done on the Instagram content, then you will understand that when there is, narrative included, the micro narrative platform it is, but when the narrative, the storytelling is woven in the reels, then those reels reach, far beyond. So that is the beauty of storytelling. And why do we love stories? That is what I have asked in my previous session as well. Let's move further and understand the transmission patterns, transmission ways of our civilization. So um, uh, the forms that we used for the communication was Shruti. Shruti is all about sound. Whatever you hear, whatever, the sound that you receive, that is Shruti. Then Smriti is memory. So you remember the things, and then you carry on the message by, remembering it and telling it to the others, in especially in our case, generation to generation as well. um, if you remember, then in Sanskrit, the importance of pronunciation is very, very, very great. Why? Because the relation of pronunciation and the memory is very, crucial. If you pronounce it rightly, then and then only the right meaning can be derived. So that is why in Sanskrit the importance of pronunciation is very high. Then Katha, that is the performance of the story, but using just words, voice, right? That is Katha. Then Natya is there. Natya has elements of visual performance. We watched a video in our last session that with the use of the expression, how the performer visually transmit the entire message, entire mood, entire emotion, and
Okay, are people able to hear Dr. Vikas? I think he lost his
No,
connection.
no, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, no.
Yes, yes. I think his screen is frozen. Okay. Dr. Vikas, we are not able to hear you. Yeah, I think, yeah, electricity at your place. Yes, yes.
yes, yes,
No,
I'm
we just
extremely
we
sorry.
just saw you and we realized there's no electricity.
Yes, yes. Extremely sorry for the inconvenience, but this is what happens with us frequently. So, just a moment.
Sure, sure. No problem. Yes, meanwhile, I would like to remind our participants that for tomorrow's session with Dr. Pinku Jha, please do not forget to respond to his question that has already been pinned in our FDP group. This was shared immediately after his first session, and you can respond to him latest by tonight. He has asked two questions based on his session on the Mahabharata, the previous session where he talked about hermeneutics, smriti, and the structure of the Mahabharata. So the first question is, who is the most misunderstood character in the Mahabharata? Or you have an optional question. You can choose. You can respond to either of the questions that you want to. Is the Mahabharata about victory or loss? So his email ID has been given. I will remind our participants once again after today's session ends. But kindly do not forget to respond to him, whatever you can, in about 100 to 150 words. So it will be useful for him to build up his session tomorrow, to take it forward from your responses, since it's connected to what he spoke in the previous session.
Uh, when we go to watch a film after the interval, we always, many times we find a song being performed. So, keeping the same tradition, let's watch a video after the disturbance and then we'll move forward.
प्राचीनतम संस्कृतियों में से एक माना जाता है और किसी भी संस्कृति का आधार उसका प्राचीन तथा ऐतिहासिक साहित्य होता है। हमारी संस्कृति में हम उसे वेद और पुराण यानी वैदिक शास्त्र कहते हैं। तो आइए वैदिक शास्त्र के प्रकार और उगम को समझते हैं। वैदिक शास्त्र दो प्रकार के होते हैं, श्रुति और स्मृति। श्रुति का अर्थ है सुनना, यानी जिन शास्त्रों को सुनकर लिखा गया है उन्हें श्रुति कहते हैं। श्रुति के वाक्यों में काल के साथ कोई परिवर्तन नहीं होता, वह शाश्वत है, उसे साक्षात भगवान की वाणी के रूप में लिखा गया है। परंतु श्रुति को सुनकर और समझकर लिखा जाए या फिर किसी कथा को स्मरण कर उसे दोहराया जाए तो उसे स्मृति कहते हैं। स्मृति के शब्दों में समय के साथ परिवर्तन हो सकता है। अभी हम श्रुति और स्मृति में आने वाले शास्त्रों का विश्लेषण करेंगे। श्रुति में मुख्य 4 वेद आते हैं। वह ऋग्वेद, सामवेद, यजुर्वेद और अथर्ववेद, जिनका ज्ञान साक्षात भगवान ने ब्रह्मा जी को दिया था। उसके पश्चात ब्रह्मा जी ने वह ज्ञान सृष्टि की निर्मिति के समय आगे ऋषियों को प्रदान किया। कालांतर पश्चात स्वयं भगवान के अवतार महर्षि वेद व्यास जी ने उसी ज्ञान को वेदों के रूप में लिखा, जो 4 मुख्य वेद स्वरूप है। उसके पश्चात वेदों का विश्लेषण 2 भागों में होता है, कर्मकांड और ज्ञानकांड। कर्मकांड में संहिता और ब्राह्मणा आते हैं, जिनमें वेद मंत्र और उनका अर्थ दिया गया है। और ज्ञान कांड के 2 स्वरूप, पहला अरण्य का, जो ऋषियों द्वारा जंगल में जाकर लिखा गया, और दूसरा उपनिषद, जब वेदों का ज्ञान ऋषियों ने अपने शिष्यों को प्रदान किया तब उनके द्वारा लिखे गए, जिनमें ईशावास्योपनिषद, केनोपनिषद, कठोपनिषद, प्रश्न, श्वेताश्वतरोप, कौशितकी, मैत्रायणी इत्यादि 13 मुख्य उपनिषद है। अब स्मृतियों की बात करें तो स्मृति में इतिहास, उपवेद, धर्मशास्त्र, दर्शन शास्त्र, पुराण, वेदांग और अगम का समावेश है। पहला इतिहास, जिसमें रामायण, महाभारत और भगवद गीता ऐसे ग्रंथ आते हैं। दूसरा उपवेद, ये 4 मुख्य वेदों का सार है, जिसमें आयुर्वेद ऋग्वेद से, धनुर्वेद यजुर्वेद से, गंधर्ववेद सामवेद से तथा शिल्पवेद अथर्ववेद से लिए गए हैं। धर्मशास्त्र के बारे में कहा जाए तो यह वह शास्त्र है जो सनातन धर्म का ज्ञान एकत्रित किए हुए है, जिनमें मनुस्मृति, नारद स्मृति, विष्णु स्मृति, याज्ञवल्क्य स्मृति इत्यादि का समावेश है। दर्शन शास्त्र वह ज्ञान है जो परम सत्य और सिद्धांतों तथा उनके कारणों की विवेचना करता है। उसमें पूर्व मीमांसा, योग, संख्या, वैशेषिका, नैया, वेदांत आदि शास्त्र आते हैं। फिर पुराण, जो दिव्य ऋषि, महर्षि और राजाओं के बीच का वृत्तांत है, जिसमें ऋषि अपना दिव्य ज्ञान राजाओं को प्रदान करते हैं, जिनमें श्रीमद् भागवत पुराण, ब्रह्म पुराण, पद्म पुराण, विष्णु पुराण, गरुड़ पुराण, वायु पुराण और ऐसे कुल 18 पुराण हैं। उसके बाद वेदांग, जो वेदार्थ ज्ञान में सहायक शास्त्र है, जिसमें शिक्षा, कल्प, व्याकरण, निरुक्त, छंद और ज्योतिष शास्त्र आते हैं। और अंत में अगम, इनमें वैष्णव आगम, शैव आगम और शाक्त आगम का समावेश है। यह वैदिक शास्त्र का संक्षिप्त ज्ञान है। इन सभी का सखोल अभ्यास हम आने वाले व्याख्यानों में करेंगे। तो आपको यह जानकारी कैसी लगी, हमें कमेंट सेक्शन में जरूर बताएं। और ऐसे ही
Fine. So you must, through this video, you must have understood the entire repository of Indian knowledge, right? Shruti and Smriti Parampara. That is what we were discussing about. Let's move further. Let's talk more about the Shruti tradition. And if we understand the word Shruti, then there is the root word that is Shru, and the meaning is to hear, right? And we have electricity as well. In Shruti Parampara, the oral recitation is there. Then whatever is being told orally, the disciples, the pupils had to, memorize all this knowledge which was given orally. Then this oral transmission in itself was like, intergenerational. So the person who was passing the knowledge and the receiver had to, process that knowledge orally. And as you watched in the video, that the oral tradition has been, it is considered as the divine one, and it is sacred authority who has given that knowledge. That is what Shruti tradition tells us. This is the list that you have already watched in the video. Then let's understand the oral preservation technique, whatever is orally communicated, how to, remember it, what were the techniques which were used. So I also talked about the pronunciation, importance of pronunciation in Sanskrit language. The first step which was, considered important was to pad part, that is word by word recitation. So one must understand it word by word, and then the recitation has to happen. Then kram part, kram, we all know sequence, right? So this is the sequence, that is, the defined sequence it follows. So it is about the sequential recitation. Then this jat part is about the complex repetition of the patterns. If, if any pad, if any word is complex, then it had to, recite in repetition. That is what it meant. So these were the techniques which were used to remember what was being communicated through the oral tradition. This is a wonderful picture. And if we understand the para, then this sloka is very, very important. This is from Rig Veda, this 164.46. What does it mean? Do you know? Is there anyone who understand what is 1.16446? What does it mean?
Yes, anyone who would like to respond?
Sir, is Rigvedam part 164 Suktam, I think.
Hmm. And 46 is
46 is maybe Suktam, that is also Suktam number, sir, I think.
164
One,
is Sutta. That is
Sir.
right. One is Mandala, right? That is the
Yes, sir. Pradama
book
Mandala.
one. Yes, book one.
Total, in that Dasa Mandalas, maybe the first Mandala, 164 Suktam, 164
Before is Sutta.
Sloka, I think.
Yes.
46
For-
Sloka.
46th mantra.
Mantra. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. So it's, quite a time it is quoted. Ekam sat vipra bahudha vadanti. What does it mean? Truth is one. The wise expresses it in many ways. We keep on talking about the plurality, right? And the essence or the source of that uh, philosophy of plurality is this mantra, right? So uh, there is one truth, but you can have thousand of ways to reach that truth. That is what uh, meant by this sloka. Now let's talk about the Smriti tradition, and now we have also started to understand that the of Bharat, right? Akhand Bharat. So it is said that Smriti texts were, given by the human authors. They were enlightened, actually, not the common human being, enlightened human being, but they were humans, and they have recorded, they have written these, history of India through this Smriti tradition. And these are the major texts. We all know that Ramayana, Mahabharata are the two epics worldwide known. Then Puran is also there, and Dharma Shastra literature is there in the Smriti tradition. And this is about, memorizing and then preserving it through memory, and then, documenting it. So Smriti tradition is about that. Uh, if we talk about Ramayana, then we know that in every single household we all know the stories of Ram and Ravan and Sita and Hanuman, everybody. It is about hero's journey, Ram's journey, his exile for 14 years, his struggles, and the moral conflict when he has to abandon his wife. That was the example of moral conflict, and then the victory of the righteousness. That is the entire story of Ramayana. We all know everything about Ramayana. Then this is a wonderful text, Mahabharata. I mean, the kind of layers, the kind of themes and theme and sub themes, plot and subplots are there in Mahabharata. I mean, you cannot find it anywhere in any literature of world. And you have dedicated sessions of Mahabharata narratives by Pinku sir. So I'm not going to go much in detail, but we all know that there are several protagonists, several heroic characters, right? There are several parallel storylines. There are ethical dilemmas. There are politics, religion, whatever you talk about life, love, anything, everything is there, all the themes are there, all the genres are there, and several plots, subplots, right? So all these things are there in Mahabharata. But let's understand it in the perspective of a medium, modern medium, that is OTT, over the top platform. You must be knowing that you know a film of 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours, fine. Then in serials, in television serials, we always understood that it is an idiot box, the small screen, and the shooting used to happen in one single place on the set, and uh, everything happens there. Very similar to the theater, right? But then we have mobile screens today, which are even smaller, very smaller than the idiot box television. But then still we have narratives which has sagas from the uh, the uh, uh, the entire world. Why it has happened? Because over the top platforms has allowed us, has given the freedom to give the stories, give the stories um, ample budget and the chance to convey these stories. So similar to Mahabharat, where several themes, sub themes, plots, subplots. Similarly, OTT platforms has also started to narrate the stories that has multiple layers, multiple narratives, right? So Mahabharat, the epic, is very similar to the OTT platforms that we watch today. Then there is a Mahabharata sloka, which is very interesting. So yad hasti tad anatyatra, yan nehasti na tak kavachit. Simply it means that what is found here may be found elsewhere. What is not found here is nowhere. So this is the sloka that has so much of meaning. But if we try to understand this sloka with what we are going to talk today, um, if we start narrating a story to a kid of 2 years, even then the elements which are there in the stories of adults, it will start reflecting in 2-year kids story, right? So whatever the framework of story is there, the kind of imagination power is needed to tell a story, it is very similar for the all sort of stories addressed for any generation, any age group, right? So that is what this Mahabharata sloka is used with that context only. Then we have Katha tradition, Shruti, Smruti. Then we have Katha Parampara, Katha tradition, right? And in Katha Parampara tradition, we all know about Hari Katha. Then this is Katha Kalakshepam. Then Puran recitations. Then we have storytelling traditions of different regions, villages in India. And these traditions were, very interactive, and sometimes performances, visual performances, dramatization were also, uh, given the space for that. Performances were also there. That is the Katha tradition of India. And then we have folk performance traditions, again from very different regions of across India. And to understand the folk performance tradition of Chhattisgarh, the state which is very, rich in its folk performances, we have Linima Sahu with us, who is going to talk with you all for 10 to 15 minutes about the folk traditions of Chhattisgarh. Linima,
जी सर।
please discuss
सर
about.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना?
बिल्कुल।
सर
यस यस। सो लिनिमा, मैं सिर्फ आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि कैन यू यूज अ मिक्स ऑफ हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश?
ओके
ये
मैम।
क्या पॉसिबल होगा?
मैम ज्यादातर मैं हिंदी में ही बात कर पाऊंगी अभी।
हाँ ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, प्लीज
जी
प्लीज गो अहेड।
जी मैम। आप सभी को नमस्कार। जैसा कि मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन तो दे चुके हैं, मैं और बता देती हूँ। मैं लिनिमा साहू हूँ और आज मैं आप सभी को छत्तीसगढ़ की जो लोक कथा है, जिसको पंडवानी कहा जाता है, जिसमें महाभारत जो है उसको लोक के रूप में दर्शाया गया है। उसको पंडवानी यानी कि पांडवों की वाणी कहा जाता है, जिसमें पांडवों की कथा जो है वो सुनाई जाती है। और इसको जो है छत्तीसगढ़ में दो जो जाति है उन्होंने इसको आगे बढ़ाया। जब हम बात करते हैं इन जातियों के बारे में, तो वो है प्रधान और देवार जाति, जिन्होंने जो है वो पंडवानी को लोक कथा गायन के रूप में आगे बढ़ाया। इसमें जब हम महाभारत की बात करते हैं, तो महाभारत में जो मुख्य किरदार जो होता है, जो मेन जिस पात्र जिसको बोलते हैं, वो अर्जुन होता है। अर्जुन के इर्द गिर्द जो है वो कहानी आगे बढ़ती है। लेकिन जब हम पंडवानी की बात करते हैं, तो पंडवानी में जो है वो मुख्य जो पात्र होता है वो होता है भीम। और जो भीम होता है वो अपने भाइयों को जो है वो किसी भी उनके सामने कुछ भी परेशानी आती है तो वो उनको बचाते हैं। जब हम बात करते हैं कि छत्तीसगढ़ में पंडवानी की कौन कौन सी शैली जो है वो प्रचलित है, तो छत्तीसगढ़ में पंडवानी की दो शैलियां प्रचलित है। एक को कहा जाता है कपाली और दूसरे को कहा जाता है वेदमती। जैसे अभी बात कर रहे थे सर कि श्रुति और स्मृति की बात कर रहे थे, तो श्रुति में जो कहा जाता है कि जो ऋषियों ने सुना और उसे अनुभव करके जो लिखा, वहीं स्मृतियों में मनुष्य ने जो अपना ज्ञान है वो जो है वो आगे बढ़ाया। वहीं जब हम कापालिक की बात करते हैं, तो इसमें क्या होता है कि जो कलाकार हैं वो अपने पूर्वजों के द्वारा जो सुने उसी को सुन सुनकर जो है वो पंडवानी को प्रस्तुत करते हैं। लेकिन जब हम वेदमती की बात करते हैं, तो वो हिंदी में चौपाई लिखी गई थी सबल सिंह चौहान जी के द्वारा में। उन्होंने जो शास्त्र में लिखा है उसी हिसाब से जो है वो पंडवानी को आगे जो है कलाकार जो है वो गाते हैं। और इसमें एक मुख्य कलाकार होता है जो कि तंबूरा लेकर, किंकणी लेकर या रुंझुनू लेकर, या तो वो बैठकर गाता है। जैसे वेदमती जो शैली जब हम बात करते हैं उसमें जो कलाकार होता है वो बैठकर जो है वो कथा का गायन करता है। लेकिन कपालिक जो शैली है उसमें खड़े होकर वो ऐसे कला के माध्यम से वो नाच कर गा कर जो है वो लोगों को कथा को बताता है। जब हम बात करते हैं इन दोनों के जो शैली है उसमें कौन कौन के जो कलाकार है छत्तीसगढ़ में वो प्रमुख है, तो कपालिक जो शैली है उसमें तीजन बाई है, शांति बाई चेलक है उषाबाई पार्ले है, समप्रिया पूजा है। वहीं जब वेदमती शैली की बात करते हैं तो इसमें झाड़ूराम देवांगन, पूनाराम निषाद, पंचूराम रेवाराम और लक्ष्मीबाई इसमें ये प्रमुख है, जिन्होंने पंडवानी को जो है वो देश ही नहीं विदेशों में भी जो है वो फैलाया। और आंध्र प्रदेश में बुर्रा कथा जिसको कहा जाता है वो भी जो है जो महाभारत है उसका एक लोक कथा गायन है। वहीं कर्नाटक में हरि कथा के नाम से ये प्रचलित है। और इसमें जब हम बात करते हैं तो महाभारत की सारी कथा नहीं होती है, उसका जो अंश है उसको समय के अनुसार जो कलाकार है वो प्रदर्शित करता है। यानी कि पूरा महाभारत जो है वो इसमें नहीं बताया जाता है। जैसे कि अगर एक दिन का कार्यक्रम हुआ तो महाभारत का कुछ जो पात्र है या कुछ जो उसका कुछ अंश है उसी को दर्शाया जाता है। वहीं जब हम बात करते हैं कि अगर मान लो जाए 5 दिन का रहा तो वो उसकी सारी कथा को बताते हैं। तीजन बाई जो है वो इस कथा को आगे बढ़ाने में देश और विदेशों में भी इस कथा को वो आगे बढ़ाई है। वही जब हम बात करते हैं कि जो तंबूरा वो हाथ में लेकर रहते हैं उसको कभी कभी वो भीम का गदा बना देती है। जब वो इसको प्रस्तुत करती तो कभी वो गदा बन जाता है, तो कभी वो अर्जुन का धनुष बन जाता है, कभी वो द्रौपदी बन जाती है और उनके साथ जो भी चीजें हुई उसको प्रदर्शित करती हैं। तो एक महिला के मन में जो भी पीड़ा होती है तो उतनी ही सॉफ्ट नेचर की हो जाती है। वहीं जब भीम बन जाती है तो वो रौद्र रूप उनके में दिखाई देता है। यानी कि एक ही व्यक्ति जो है, यानी मोनोप्ले भी इसको कहा जा सकता है, कि वो एक ही व्यक्ति जो है वो सारी महाभारत को वो प्रदर्शित करती है। और इसमें भाव जो है वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण होता है। तो ये पंडवानी जो है वो छत्तीसगढ़ का एक लोक कथा गायन है, जिसमें एक मुख्य कलाकार होते हैं, रागी होता है। रागी वो होता है जो हुंकारू देता है, क्योंकि एक ही व्यक्ति जब सारी बातों को बताते हैं तो उसको पीछे से रागी जो है कुछ क्वेश्चन भी करता है। जब महाभारत में पंडवानी में जब तीजन बाई गाती है या ऐसे कलाकार गाते हैं तो कुछ कुछ ऐसे प्रश्न होते हैं जो दर्शक के मन में भी आते होंगे, तो रागी उसे बीच बीच में टोकता है, बीच बीच में उसको याद दिलाता है, बीच बीच में ऐसे प्रश्न करता है और फिर उसके बाद जो कलाकार है वो उसका उत्तर देते हैं। वहीं बहुत सारे वाद्य यंत्र का इसमें उपयोग किया जाता है। पहले की पंडवानी की जब हम बात करते हैं, जब 1927 के आसपास में जब ये शुरू हुआ था और उस समय जब ऐसे ग्रुप बनना शुरू हुए थे, उस समय की पंडवानी और आज की पंडवानी में बहुत अंतर दिखाई देता है। आज बहुत सारे वाद्य यंत्र और जुड़ गए हैं, नए नए वाद्य यंत्रों का भी जो है उपयोग किया जाता है। लेकिन पंडवानी की जो शैली है वो उसमें भी बदलाव हम कहीं ना कहीं देखते हैं। और ये जो है आज के वक्त में अगर हम बात करें कि ये कितना ज्यादा लोकप्रिय है, तो हाँ, लोग जो हैं वो सीख जो रहे हैं, मतलब जब बोलते हैं कि एक पीढ़ी से दूसरी पीढ़ी में आती है तो कहीं ना कहीं ये कम होते जा रहे हैं। विलुप्ति कगन के कगार पर तो नहीं है, पर कम जरूर हुआ है इसको सीखने वाले लोग। और अगर उसको सीखने वाले बढ़ेंगे तो ये निश्चित ही देश दुनिया में और ज्यादा लोकप्रिय होगा। उसके लिए अगर हम बात करें मीडिया की, तो मीडिया इसमें बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करता है। तो छत्तीसगढ़ में ऐसे बहुत सारे लोकगीत हैं, जैसे हम बारामसी पंथी गीत की बात करें, वैसे ही पंडवानी जो है वो महाभारत की कथा को लोक कथा के रूप में प्रदर्शित करती है। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू लिनिमा, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपने जो जानकारी दी पंडवानी के हिस्टोरिकल लैंडस्केप की, जो कथा परंपरा है, कितनी शैलियां हैं, कौन से कलाकार है, कैसे इसे परफॉर्म किया जाता है और क्या इसका कनेक्शन है हमारे कल्चर से, हमारी संस्कृति से, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी आपने हमें दी है। यू हैव गिवन अस एक्सट्रीमली important perspective from where it should come from. You are from Chhattisgarh, you are in Chhattisgarh, so it makes a lot of sense. और मैं सभी से कहना चाहूंगी कि लिनिमा इसी विषय पर उनका शोध है, पीएचडी शोध चल रहा है। तो ये जो सारे ट्रेडिशंस हैं, और डॉक्टर विकास इसमें जुड़ेंगे हमारे साथ, जितने भी ये सारे ट्रेडिशंस हैं, जो लोकल ट्रेडिशंस हैं, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है कि इन ट्रेडिशंस को हम पढ़ें, इस पर अध्ययन करें, जो इन ट्रेडिशंस को फॉलो कर रहे हैं, जो इनके आर्टिस्ट हैं, जो इनके पेट्रन्स हैं, इनसे जाकर मिले, बात करें, फील्ड वर्क इसमें किया जाए, ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और जानकर ये बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि पंडवानी देश विदेश में इस परंपरा को लोग जानते हैं, और छत्तीसगढ़ की एक तरह से ये पहचान है, छत्तीसगढ़ की लोक परंपराओं का यह प्रतीक है।
जी।
Yes, Zalem is thanking Linima for inputs and interesting facts about Pandwani. So if possible, Linima can share
जी मैम।
some videos or research papers, one or two, whenever she has some time. We can share it with our participants and they can read more about the Pandwani tradition.
बिल्कुल मैम, बिल्कुल।
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Linima.
थैंक यू
So,
सर, थैंक यू।
thank you. So that was about the folk tradition of Chhattisgarh. Very interesting way of narrating Mahabharata that we can find in Chhattisgarh. Uh, Similarly, we have in folk performance traditions we have Ram Leela, Yakshagan, Kathakali, puppetry traditions, right? And in all these performances from the different regions, we find dialogues used, music is accompanied, the kind of costumes which were used for narrating the story, and the drama part, the storytelling is very much there in the folk performance traditions of different regions of India, right? It was again the visual was from the performance in today's time only. Then let's reach to the session first that was about Natya Shastra. Again, let's talk about Natya Shastra. So the storytelling, acting, music, dance, stage design, all these things were very much, in detail explained by Bharat Muni in Natya Shastra. That is what we have talked in the last session, right? Then we also talked about the fifth Veda story, that the gods reached to Brahmaji and requested for the knowledge to make people more ethical, and Brahmaji created the fifth Veda, that is this Natya Veda, right? uh, this is one slok from Natya Shastra, and uh, the basic meaning of Natya is imitation. Again, very similar to what Aristotle said. And then from there on, after the imitation, the representation of human action is also narrated in the Natya, and then the knowledge part is also included, and how to live that message is very beautifully in a storytelling manner. It is also included in the Natya, that is the Natya Shastra, right? We also talked about rasa theory, nine rasa, and we also watched a video uh, to understand the nine rasas which are there in front of you. Sringar, Veer Ras, and all these ras. We talked about it in the last session. Now let's talk about the transition that has happened to the modern media. We know about the printing technology inventions, then we also know about the photography, then filming technology, and we also know that from Natya we have gradually transited to the medium which is driven by the technology, but the essence is visual, essence is storytelling only. So if we try to understand the medium of cinema, then the definition of cinema is very simple. We say it as visual storytelling. So visual is there for eyes, then telling is about hearing, listening, ear, and story is there. But if we just understand it with these three different words, visual, story, and telling, then we miss the important aspect of technology in it. So visual storytelling as a definition is fine, but then it is told. It is told through the help. It is shown and told through the help of the technology. And cinema is the new medium for the narrative expression that we all know. But the structure of storytelling is very much same. That is what we have discussed in the last session as well, right? We had a look on the storytelling arc, how the descending action is there in the storytelling, right? So technology is there. The first film we all know is Raja Harishchandra, right? Dada Saheb Phalke was the maker. Now, if we try to understand this medium, then the technology is fine, it is there, but what was the story? It was about Raja Harishchandra, right? So the story of Raja Harishchandra comes from our very own tradition, right? And the same story from our tradition is used using the technology in the medium of cinema, and um, it was narrated. Similarly, we also know that we have, at least 10 plus films, serials on Ramayana and Mahabharata. So again, from tradition, we have taken the story sources, and we have used modern media to tell the same stories, right? We also know that there are several stories of gods and kings, epics, and our Puranas. Then the moral stories of our tradition is, repeatedly we can find narrated in Indian cinema, right? So that was about the tradition that has, empowered our cinema, our OTT, our television medium, right? But then, if we talk about the original stories, now original is very, into inverted comma, it is there, because if we try to understand the archetypes, the kind of, narrative stories that we find in our itihas, in our Puranas, then we can sense that, the same structure, the same essence is, repeatedly found its voices with the modern context, right? If we look at Mother India, Lagan, Bahubali, these are the modern visual epics that we find in our Indian cinema. But then we can also draw the sources from where it comes from. Uh, we also know about television, and I also talked about it, that, if you want to say, for example, if we talk about the most successful television serial of India is Tarak Mehta, right? In today's time, then Tarak Mehta, if we, try to understand how many minutes of storytelling has been done through Tarak Mehta ka Ulta Chashma, then I think 10,000 hours, 10,000 plus hours, the serial must have, continuously going on, entertaining us. So, in Purans as well, the storytelling cycles were very long, and um, there was no, very restricted time frame. And same way, in television, we see that the episodic way of, telling the story we can find in the uh, television as well. I also referred about Ramayana and Mahabharata, and we also know that during the COVID time, Ramayana and Mahabharata were, again retelecast. We saw that it was retelecasted, and um, uh, the records for the viewerships were broken during the COVID period, and people loved Ramayana and Mahabharata, which was retelecasted. Uh, we also know that, people love these stories. They can, easily relate themselves when we narrate the story of Ram, Krishna, or the characters we have in our tradition, right? So uh, the people who have already heard the stories in their childhood from the oral tradition in the sense of their I mean the generation is telling these stories, though we have different mediums now, but still stories that we listen in our home when we are the kids from our grandparents. It is the oral tradition, and we can easily associate ourselves with the stories which were there in our childhood. So that association, cultural association, is also there with these stories of our Itihas and Puranas. uh, we also know about various OTT platforms that are popular in today's time: Netflix, Amazon Prime, and other. Right? Uh, we also know about the features of OTT storytelling. Then multi-layered storytelling is there. Then we have characters which are ambiguous in their morality. Now the compartmentalization of good and bad is being uh, merged, and ambiguous characters we can find in the OTT platforms. And if we look at Mahabharata again, then Mahabharata had also the similar traits that we can find in the OTT platforms. These are the some of the popular OTT uh, shows that we also know about. Emotional engagement, moral conflict, all these things are there in the uh, uh, structure of OTT storytelling, right? Uh, Now let's understand the parallel, right? If we talk about the traditional storytelling of Bharat, and if we compare it with the modern media that we have today, then Shruti, we all know that it is about the oral storytelling. Smriti is all about the written stories, epics. Natya is about the performance art. Cinema is visual storytelling. I already talked about it. Television is serial narratives similar to the Puranas. Then OTT has the digital ecosystem of narration, and a similar way of having multiple layers of storytelling, which was there in the Mahabharata, right? So it was about the medium that we have today, and the tradition we had in our past, right? This was for very specifically for the media people. So this is what I wanted to uh, share today. In today's session, I wanted to convey about the narratives that we keep on, using are from our tradition. We have heavily, uh, derived our stories from our tradition and the repository that we have from our literature, right? Rasa theory we talked about in our last session as well, and if we try to draw parallel of rasa theory, then the impact, the kind of impact that films and OTT stories are making on us, it is creating rust in us, and that is why they are successful. So that rasa theory is also very much living in us in this time of OTT television and cinema uh, as well. So this is what I wanted to talk about. So that Smriti and Shruti tradition of India is reflected in our OTT narratives, in our films, in our storytelling, right? That's it from me, Dr. Nidhi.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vikas, for that very engaging discourse on the Shruti Smriti Parampara in the Bharatiya tradition and how uh, the legacy of this parampara is reflected in our modern day storytelling narratives through OTT platforms, through the cinematic medium, through the medium of television. And in between, we also learnt about Chhattisgarh's folk tradition, the Pandwani tradition from Linima Sahu. So it was a very engaging presentation, especially when you were trying to connect our ancient oral traditions with the kind of storytelling that is practiced today. Of course, with time, with situations, with context, and with an era changing, the transition is clearly seen in our storytelling formats. But what I had commented while you were speaking on the Ramayana and Mahabharata is specifically about these stories being a collective experience uh, as against an individualistic experience. We already know that as children, when we watched the Ramayana or the Mahabharata on the small screen, or when we heard these stories from our grandparents, these were probably not individualistic experience, they were collective experience that shaped the collective psyche of our generation, and these stories were transmitted from one generation to another. And that is what we have been emphasizing through all these sessions, how storytelling remains such a legacy that the carriers of these stories, uh, it, these stories are kind of imprinted. आपके मानस पटल पे उनकी एक छाप ऐसी छूट गई है that you don't probably even need to make an effort to remember these stories. And I believe that a country, a civilization, a generation which knows its stories well becomes a confident country, a confident civilization, a confident generation, also an imaginative and creative community of individuals. So, thank you so much, Dr. Vikas. You have also brought in traces and connections with rasa theory, Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, and I believe strongly that the Asian models of communication that are being explored in the current discourse on communication have a lot of Asian, Eastern, Indian elements. For example, there is a Sadharanikaran model of Bharatiya or Asian communication by Professor Nirmala Mani Adhikari from Kathmandu University, wherein he's talking about Sahridayata, the mutual feeling, commonness, oneness between the sender and the receiver. And this model is inspired from Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. Great. So, with this brief commentary on Dr. Vikas's session today, I want to open up for questions. Before I invite questions, I once again would want to request participants to kindly do not forget responding to Dr. Pinku's question for the session on Mahabharata tomorrow. If you have missed the message, please go to our FDP WhatsApp group. You check the pinned message, and that is where the question is. Great. So let's.
Dr. Nidhi, before you allow audience to share their knowledge, their feedback, their questions, let me for a minute or two, please let me explain about the Sadharanikaran and the relation of Natya Shastra. Right?
Sure, sure.
Let's understand it because I wanted to talk about but then I forgot to talk about it. Let's hypothetically take an example that in a film scene or in a drama scene, you find that a lady, a mother, is being hospitalized. Right? She is in the hospital. Then let's understand it from the Natya Shastra terminology. So the situation what we call a situation in a story, from the perspective of Natya Shastra, what we call it vibhav, right? This is the situation, right? Then what that mother would do, that mother would show her expression, her pain, her suffering, right? Because of any illness, we don't know, because it is a hypothetical example. So she will act, that lady will act in that play, according to the vibhav, the situation, the atmosphere which is created in the story, right? So she will act, that is anubhav, right? Acting of the artist. So first one is vibhav, that is the situation of that story. Then actor expresses the anubhav, right, through her acting. Then there are supporting bhav. What does it call? Do you remember? Is there anyone who remembers the supporting bhav? What is the
Yes,
term?
yes.
What is
I
that?
do, I do recall it very vaguely.
Fine. So let's keep it. Let's uh, allow audience and everyone to remember it. But then supporting emotion would be like, a son is crying, holding his mother's hand, or the kind of background score is being played during that visual, that story part, right? That will be the supporting bhav. But through this vibhav, through this anubhav, and through this supporting act, what is intended? The intention is karuna, and it is karuna ras that the audience will feel, right? So through using the narrative storytelling techniques, the communication of the transition of that karuna ras in the audience is done, and the devices is vibhav, anubhav, and the supporting act, right? This is how it is explained in the Natya Shastra. That is what I wanted to share, Dr. Nidhi.
Sure, sure. Thank you for sharing that. So, have we revealed what the supporting sentiment is called? Like, I was not able to recall it. Is there anybody who would like to answer from our participants? Do you remember it from Dr. Vikas's previous session? You can just
Sir, maybe vibhava, anubhava, vibhichari bhav. I say,
Yeah.
think. Thank you, sir.
yes. I think
Yes,
it was
yes.
Vyabhichari bhav, right?
Vyabhichari
Yes,
bhav.
correct.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I started thinking about Bibhats Ras, this disgust. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Meena Rani madam, for responding. Great. So yeah, now we can kind of open up for questions and comments and any kind of insights and
Nidhi ma'am,
observations.
good evening, Nidhi ma'am, and good evening, Vikas sir. So my English is not that much good. Any
So आप
mistakes.
हिंदी में बोलिए मीना जी.
Ma'am, Hindi also was a problem because I'm a Telugu background person.
Okay. No problem.
Actually, I wanted to share one thing, ma'am. In a Telangana region, so like Harikada, Burrakada, just now we spoke all the things, no? Like one Kathasaritsagar is there. If any person in a family passed away, so they will conduct on that day evening, they'll conduct like this Harikada, means they'll explain that who is that person, what is his greatness, and who is his father and mother, and who is their children. So maybe everybody don't know about that person, no ma'am. Here that tradition is there. One where actually I'm not the basic Telangana person, I'm an Andhra person, but when I went and I saw this thing, really I felt very happy that, because sometimes we don't know what is that person, what he did, what actually was. But that tradition really, it is maybe it is not identified anywhere, but it is there. And one more thing, whenever I'm reading the books and all, I understood that one, in olden days maybe this media is not there. That time any message they want to give, in that time maybe they choose this harikada, burrakada, and kadaganam, yakshaganam. In this way maybe they spread the information with the ganam and with the acting, and because based on the Natya Shastra, maybe they spread any information. Actually, when this lockdown is there, that time our in Telangana government, they scroll when mean ganam. That's when don't go outside, don't give any shake hands, like that. They make the songs and they played on the road. One vehicle is going and don't come out, don't put. And in Telugu, it's very nice message. Kalu baita pettakura, means cheyi cheyi kalapakura, like that. They made the lyrics and they played. So if anybody not then no need means no one know how to read and write, also they can listen and they understood. It's the madhyam of communication. They may choose all these things. Maybe I feel when Sari is explaining about the Natya Shastra and all, I thought maybe that's the reason all this is came like that. And thank you so much, sir. The session is too good today. And Madam also given that all the 9 types of means traditional that what that Yakshagana and all brief explanation from Jharkhand, Madam. So that also very useful information for us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meena Rani Madam. You have made some very pertinent observations about our storytelling traditions, and we can all observe how even in the modern day technology-induced hyper-mediated world, where we have multiple, innumerable means of communication, we are still reliant on our older traditions like storytelling. And to tackle a crisis like COVID, if the authorities and administration are making impactful and effective use of these storytelling traditions, it's all the more good, because through this we believe that our current generation can connect with these traditions. And you are absolutely right, Meena Rani Madam, that those who could not read and write were made to understand important aspects of life and society through storytelling, because formal education had a very different connotation during ancient times. And I'm glad that you have brought in some local perspectives from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Each region in our country, and even within a particular state, the different sub-regions, dialects, languages, different districts have their own storytelling traditions, which are highly unique. And through Linima's knowledge, we got a window to the worldview that Chhattisgarh has in terms of the Pandavani tradition. So yes, thank you. Vikas, would you like to quickly comment?
Not on what ma'am has said, but in continuity of what I was saying. So this is the beauty of story, right? We don't feel, as an audience, we don't feel that this is about someone else's life, right? But what we start understanding, or what we start experiencing, is like, it is, it is similar to me, it is my experience too. This is what we feel through these stories. And that is why, it doesn't remain someone else's story, someone else's experiences or situation, right? And that is the core of the Sadharanikaran. Universalization is intended through the Sadharanikaran, and this is what happens through the use of stories. And that is what Bharat Muni has explained in Natya Shastra.
Great. So taking forward our conversation, we have a comment from Professor Vishwa Chaudhary ji. Individuals connect immediately through their mother language. I think nobody would disagree with this fact. However, it is quite unfortunate that in the current scenario, our mother languages, native languages have lesser importance in the education system, in modern media, and we are now looking at a generation that probably has even forgotten to think, write, read, speak in their mother languages. I was discussing this with a friend yesterday, and he had given some assignment to his student to interview a Gujarati poet. And she did interview this poet, but when he asked her to transcribe the interview, she said, I can't read and write Gujarati, I can only speak it. Which is a little bit unfortunate. And I think as educators, the moral responsibility lies on us how we ensure that our mother languages survive and thrive. Shruti Smriti was the only way of passing values and knowledge in the coming generations. And as a Bharatiya, I've always wondered, I mean, I would request Dr. Vikas to also comment on this. I have always wondered how something that is so ancient, I don't want to kind of time it, but 5,000, 10,000, still carries its essence and has still survived. So, for example, Ram as the ideal figure, as the ideal Purush, the Sat Purush, or the ideal person, ideal king, we could have forgotten about him and his story. It could have been quite possible that Bharatiyas don't remember his story, don't remember him. But from north to south, for example, I always find Bhagwan Ram to be that bridging figure in whichever part of the country you go. He is inside our consciousness, his stories, his values, his ideals are with us. So which means that as a civilization, we were able to survive all kinds of onslaughts, invasions, and still the core ethos. And I find that amazing every time. मतलब जैसे हम किसी गांव में जाएंगे, दूर दराज के इलाके में जाएंगे, the person would not be very educated, but he would know about Ramayana, Mahabharata. So it tells a lot about the I don't get the right word at the moment, the austerity, the character of our storytelling tradition. To me, I have thought about this many, many times. Okay, Swayamji has commented, she's from Odisha. Of course, Odisha's culture, stories, rituals, practices are beautiful. The famous writer, late Sri Manoj Das, practiced the great storytelling process through his stories and folk tales as well as travelogues. Thank you. I think it would be an interesting insight for us to look up his work. We may not understand the language, but definitely we can appreciate. And I remember somebody like Sri S.L. Bhairappa from Karnataka. I mean, his stories have been translated into many languages. Primarily, he was a writer in the Kannada language. And I was quite fascinated, Dr. Vikas, by how he was able to connect the our ancient past with modern and contemporary issues of India. So what I found unique in Sri Bhairappa's writing was that he would use the template of Bharatiya civilization to explain a story in the modern context. So it's like you're time traveling between ancient India and modern day India, and ancient India and its stories have solutions for modern day contemporary issues. Okay, there is a book by late Sri Manoj Das, Abola Kara Kahani, in which there are two characters, two wanderers, a guru and shishya. The guru used to narrate stories to the shishya. Wonderful example. Thank you. Okay. So he's a bilingual writer, and most of his stories have been translated into English. again, that's a wonderful piece of information, Swayamji, and I'll definitely look up his work, and probably I'll also try to read his works in English. So, Dr. Vikas, I think this is a great tool wherein students can be introduced to regional writers who have not just written in their own language but also written in English. That way, they also gain insights and knowledge about Odia culture through an Odia writer writing in English. Yes, thank you, Swayamji, for your insights. Great. Okay. Any last question? We have time for one more question, comments, insight. So far, we have kind of only gathered insights. Yes, anybody with a last question, please share. We'll be happy to take up. You can simply unmute, or you can also raise your hand. Zalem, unfortunately, is not able to unmute. But Zalem, if you do want to add some comment, please write it in the chat box. Okay, so I'm just going to our schedule. Yes. So while we wait for one more question for which we have time, again, I want to remind participants of our schedule for this week. So today we had a lecture on the transitioning from Shruti Smriti traditions to modern day storytelling in cinema, television, and OTT narratives by Dr. Vikas. Tomorrow we have Dr. Pinku Jha, who will be talking about performative traditions and textual retellings of the Mahabharata, and that's a continuation of his previous session. Okay, quickly sharing Zalem's response. Okay. Sorry, I think Zalem has written a long comment. So do we want to take the question part of it? I think Vikas, you can take a moment to read it. You read it, I'll just quickly remind participants of tomorrow's session. So yes, tomorrow Dr. Pinku will continue his session. Day after, we'll have Dr. Pradyumansinh Raj sir exploring the pedagogical aspects of Betal Pachisi, story, wisdom, and values. The second last session will be delivered by me, where I'll be specifically discussing my field research with the Rathwas of Central Eastern Gujarat and their storytelling tradition. And we'll have the last session by Zalem, where she's talking about a shift from scriptures to reels in the context of storytelling from ancient to modern Bharat. Okay, I think Vikas is typing something. Inspiring session, Shruti Smriti, aspects of Rigved and Natya Shastra. Okay, how stories are perceived. Okay, so that's the comment that Zalem has said. Hybridization. Okay. Okay. Do you want to respond, Vikas? Because typing will consume a lot of your energy.
No, I mean, I have typed it already.
Okay. Okay, so I request participants, you can please read Dr. Vikas's response about Zalem's question about the changing format of storytelling, the changing styles of storytelling. Zalem belongs to the theater background. So yes, hybridization has happened. And I think this evolution of Dr. Vikas and Zalem, I think this is something very organic and natural to the Bharatiya Parampara. We don't remain confined to some kind of watertight compartments and time loop that we are not willing to change and experiment. Change and sometimes drastic change has been an integral part of the Bharatiya Parampara. So I think you've rightly said that the most important aspect is how we preserve our stories, how we ensure that they don't become extinct. I would like to add one more point, that we should not yeah, sorry, is there somebody trying to speak? Okay, I thought somebody was trying to speak. So I think it's not just, it's of course important to preserve. In the current context, it's also important to not let anybody manipulate and appropriate your stories for their own purpose, something which we refer to as cultural appropriation. And stories can be culturally appropriated, and they can take a very different shape and form. So stories as also tools of uh, political change, political transformation is something that we can explore and examine. So yes, as long as their essence and ethos are preserved, it's okay if their forms change. And I see that many artists these days, they experiment, both they dabble in both ancient and modern stories. They want to tell an ancient story in using a modern tool, or they want to bring in these ancient motifs in the modern context. So yes, sure, we have noted your uh, suggestions, Satishji. We will definitely try to organize a session on Panchatantra. Definitely. Thank you for that suggestion. Yeah, we have not done an FDP or a course on Panchatantra. That would in itself be very interesting. Great. So yes, with Dr. Vikas's permission, I close this session.
Sure, Dr. Nidhi.
Great.
Thank you, Dr. Nidhi, and thank you all the participants for your active participation.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. Your session on the Natya Shastra, as well as today's session on the Shruti Smriti Parampara and its relevance and connection to modern day storytelling techniques, is very interesting. Some of these insights can be very, very useful in our classrooms, where we can bridge the gap between ancient civilization and modern values. So thank you so much for this session. It's been a great bridge, a great thread, and a great connector transitioning from week 1 to week 2. And we hope to carry on this momentum in the coming sessions of this second week as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Vikas. Thank you to all our participants for actively participating and your presence in these sessions. And thanks, Zelam, for your presence as well. Great. So with this, we are closing today's session, and we will regroup tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Namaste.
Please stop the recording first, Dr. Nidhi, then end the session.
Yes. That is something that I cannot forget.